Good morning, brethren. Today is June 2nd, 2019. This is Pastor Veronica with the Undiluted Word of God. I pray as we study His Word this morning, He will give us revelational understanding. He will open our eyes, our hearts, our minds to receive Him, to love Him, to know Him, to understand Him, so that we can live the life of Christ that we profess. He will give us the grace to arise and return to our place of sonship where we are falling short. God bless you as we study His Word together. We will look into our teaching this morning, When the Enemy Tried to Offset God's Purpose in My Life, Part 17. When the Enemy Tried to Offset God's Purpose in My Life, Part 17. As I said in earlier teachings, this is a personal study. Appropriate it to your life and see what is going on, and see how the enemy is trying to divert God's blessings away from you by using you in some circumstances. We looked into the life of Jacob last week. We ended up looking into his life. And the greatest thing about that study is the faithfulness of God. How God's faithfulness cannot be measured. How His faithfulness cannot be cut short. There is nothing we can do to make God become unfaithful. He's a faithful God, and He keepeth promises, He keepeth covenant. With all that happened to Jacob and with all that Jacob did, God focused on His faithfulness in bringing to pass that which He had promised unto Abraham, that which He had promised unto Jacob. God made sure He led Jacob all the way through. He did not focus on Jacob's weaknesses, neither did He rebuke him, but He focused on His faithfulness in bringing to pass His word. Because anything that God speaks, He will bring it to pass. Everything. The only person that can stop the blessings from happening is you, when you refuse to hearken to God's word and be led in His way. But God will give us grace to hear Him and to be led by Him in Jesus' mighty name. We'll look into the life of Joseph. Everything concerning us, God knows. Before God put you in your mother's womb, your father's loin, God knows you. God knows who you are and what He can use you to do and what He has planned for you. God knows how you can become derailed and you can become a vagabond, how you can become one that does not care, nor listen, nor follow His commandments. God knows it all. And so He apportions His call, He apportions His will, His way according to His purpose. Our business is to pray that the plan of God concerning our lives be fulfilled, and that anything that threatens God's blessings in our lives, that God will give us the grace and wisdom to identify it, and that God will stand with us and rebuke it and resist it and eliminate it by the power of the Most High God. God will help us in Jesus' mighty name. So we looked into the life of Jacob last week. We're looking into the life of Joseph. Who is Joseph? Joseph is the 12th child of Jacob. He is the 11th son of Jacob and the first son of Rachel. Remember Rachel. Rachel was the wife that Jacob loved and actually went and served the first 7 years for, and was tricked by his father-in-law in giving him his older sister, claiming the younger cannot marry first before the older. But Rachel was the heart of Jacob, and Rachel was loved by Jacob. But God, who kept covenant, saw how Leah was being hated and being despised, opened Leah's womb and gave Leah children. Rachel ended up giving her maid, it was a big rivalry, her maid to Jacob to have children. She had 2 children for Jacob, and Leah gave her maid to Jacob, and she had 2 more children. And God remembered Rachel and opened the womb of Rachel, and Rachel had Joseph. And Joseph was very much loved by his father. was very, very much loved by his father. And if we read his story, he sold him a coat of many colors that should bring, peace, joy, beauty, charm. Well, that coat ended up being a thing of dishonor, despisement, wickedness, and near murder. It presented to Joseph the exact opposite for what it was meant. And that's why as parents, we have to be guarded. We have to be guarded over the issue of favorites. When we favor one child over the other, when we loved one of our children so much that the other felt like they are being despised, they are being neglected. Although if you look in the life of the children of Jacob, their issue with Joseph did not only lie that their father loved him much more than them. There were other things that stir up that bitterness and hatred in their hearts against Joseph. Their father loving him compounded it, and with his dream climaxed it. But the Lord will help us in Jesus' mighty name. Now, if we look into the life of Joseph, you will see that God has ordained way before time that he will be destined for what he became. God will tell you some things, will reveal some things to you, but most often does not tell you the process, neither tell you the end. He will tell you what it will become, but the process by which it will become, most often God does not reveal. Because he needs your absolute attention, he needs your absolute willingness to do it. Because most often, if we know the process by which we were going to get there, we will back off. Because God takes you through storms and fire and wind and rain and thorns and thistles and pain and sleeplessness, agony and rage and anger and bitterness, hatred, resentment, despisement, you name it. He will pass you through all of those routes as he prune you, as he change you, as he develop you, as he build you, as he going to restore you. If you look into the life of Joseph went through a lot. His brothers hated him. He went into Egypt. Potiphar's wife told a lie about him. He was thrown into prison. The Potiphar did not count all that has happened in the years he served him. He went into prison. He suffered in the hands of the prison guard. He interpreted a dream for the butler and the baker. He was forgotten in prison. A lot happened to him. But in our next study, we'll look at all that issues that happened with Joseph. What it proved in Joseph's life. What all of that built up in Joseph's life was a resistance to unforgiveness. A resistance to unforgiveness. And we will look into all of that. So Joseph, if we go back to the life of Abraham, when God was making his promises, because he made his promises in instances to Abraham. If we go to Genesis 15:12. Reads, "And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him." Brethren, darkness is not of God. God is light. God is love. God is glorious. Darkness is not of God. So when you begin to have revelations of darkness, being in a dark place, doing things in the dark, rise up and begin to rebuke that spirit. Rise up and begin to pray against that spirit. Rise up and begin to cancel every oppression of the kingdom of darkness against your life. Darkness is not of God. Darkness and light contend. They are contending spirits that lust after you, that go after you to get your soul. For the kingdom of light belongs to God, and the kingdom of darkness belongs to the devil. Abraham, a great darkness fell upon him. Why? Because God was about to reveal something that is going to cause a great darkness in the life of his lineage. Slavery, bondage, something that is going to cause them agony, groanings, crying, pain. It was not something that was glorious. It was something that was gloomy and dark. And if we go to verse 13, God said unto Abraham, and he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Brethren, that's a thing of darkness. 400 years you are a slave. 400 years you have been afflicted. 400 years you have been oppressed. You and your children and your generation. Do you know how many generations came through that 400 years? I will sure have to look into it. And God was revealing this to Abraham. It was a thing of darkness. And yet, God said in verse 14, Genesis 15:14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in good old age. Brethren, he was telling Abraham this long before Abraham even come into the fulfillment of the promise. That his lineage, his seed, Abraham had not even had Isaac. God was telling him this, that his seed would be slaves in the strange land, a land that is not theirs, a land that he has not given them. How are they going to get there? Abraham, if you read the story, until the time that Abraham died, Abraham did not mention it because it appears as impossible or as something that may not happen. But once God has spoken, it will come to pass. How are they going to get there? So there is a process, and the process of them getting there was through Joseph. Now, if we go into the life of Joseph, let us look into the life of Joseph and see what the enemy planned to do. There is a common trend that the enemy does, because, he's a copycat of the kingdom of light, and he tries to do everything in the opposite. There are times God have to change your location and your position in order for him to bring you into his planned purpose. And at times what the devil does, he will try to change your location and position in order to offset you from getting into God's planned ordained purpose. Little does he know most often that the very thing he used against you is the very route God is going to use to pass you through to get you to his purpose. So if we go to Genesis 37, Genesis 37 reads, and Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph being 17 years old, and was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil reports. Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Point number one, why they hated him. The sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah were maids to Leah and Rachel, whom they gave unto Jacob to have children by them. And the Bible says he brought unto his father their evil report, which tells you clearly their conduct was one that Joseph was not ready to go along with. Their conduct was one that Joseph disdained. Their conduct was one that Joseph did not like, and he reproved it, and he came to his dad and told their father about it. Joseph was an overconfident, very confident young man, and he will not stop at anything. He says what he wants to say and say it like it is, which got him into a lot of trouble. Some people heard preachings that says he was arrogant, he was pompous, he was cocky. I think Joseph was confident because his father loved him so much. He built up that confidence to know that he has the strength to do what he can do and say what he can say. And you will see how that attribute played on in his life, even when he was sold by his brothers and ended up being a slave, a servant in the house of Potiphar. You will see how that attribute played out. He was 17. He was young and was frivolous. He says what he wants to say because he has the confidence that his father already built in him because he loved him so much and he believed he can be protected. And that is the kind of confidence you have to build in your children, where they know that they can stand up for what is right, they can stand up for what is good, because they trust in you as a father, they trust in you as a parent to depend on you to protect them, to defend them. And you must also be able as a parent to caution them, to teach them, to know when to speak and when to be quiet. And Jacob did not guard Joseph when he come home telling him all these things his brothers did. That be careful, don't let them get angry with you, don't let them get mad at you, they may try to hurt you. He wanted to know their evil report. As a parent, you want to know what your children does, but you also have to be guarded as how you caution them as to when to act and when not to act. However, God had already made this promise to Abraham. Now Joseph is in the picture, and he brought unto his father their evil report. So whatever they were doing displeased Joseph, and he told his father. Point number one, for them to hate him. Now look at the life of Joseph as it is going. The enemy knows that God has positioned him for that which he had revealed to Abraham way down in Genesis 15. This is Genesis 37. How many chapters? Over 15 more. There's almost 23 more chapters. The enemy knows that Joseph is going to be the route through which that is going to come to pass. And he began to reposition Joseph's place by causing his brothers to hate him. Brethren, when these things come against you, begin to look at the spirit behind the person whom the enemy is using. Stop focusing on the person. As long as they have their doors open and the enemy can use them against you, he will go through them. They will already have had a spirit in them that caused the enemy to enter them against you. Like these sons of Jacob, who were evil. The evil in them was enough for the enemy to use them against Joseph, to cause them to hate him and cause the rest of his brothers to hate him. And so he started opposing Joseph by causing hatredness against him. Look into your life. What is going on? You ask yourself, I don't know why they don't like me. I don't know why they say all these things. And you know within yourself you have not done anything wrong, or you're striving to please them. Ask yourself why and go before God. Your destiny is being challenged. The plan of God for your life is being contended. That is what it is. He caused them to hate him so he can thwart God's purpose and plan for his life. And if we read on, Genesis 37, 1, we go to verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. That is, his father loved him so much, and he made him a coat of many colors. As I said earlier, the coat of many colors, which should bring joy, charm, peace. Look at what it brought. Verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. This shows you how the level of the animosity against Joseph, that it is recorded in the word of God, shows you the level of the animosity against him. And because of that love, they hated him the more. So he began to build the spirit of hatredness against Joseph so that he could thwart God's plan and purpose in the life of Joseph. And then Joseph, being the Mr. Overconfident kid who is frivolous, will not stop at saying anything, got himself into more trouble. And if we go to verse 5, it says, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Brethren, this is what we learn from the life of Joseph. When God reveals something to you about the purpose of your life and how it's going to go, when you have a desire, a plan, when you begin to see that which you want to be come to pass, be careful who you discuss it with. Be careful who you tell. Be careful where you say it. Be careful who you tell. Keep your revelations a secret. Unless God lead you to speak to someone, just pray to God about it. Keep your aspirations and desires a secret. Until God lead you to tell someone, just talk to God about it. That is what I want us to learn today from the life of Joseph. And God will lead you to learn more because it is a study. You should look into it yourself. When God reveals something to you, or when you're beginning to do something, when you're beginning to go forth into something, when you plan to do something, keep your revelations to yourself. Keep your desires and aspirations. Keep it within yourself. Unless God lead you to talk to someone, keep it between you and God. Pray to God about it until it come to pass. Joseph had this dream. Being immature, being confident, and being frivolous, he just spoke. And even at the first revelation, Joseph did not even guard him like, when you have these things, don't say it. Or if you want to talk, come to me as your father. Just don't tell everybody. Don't go and tell your brethren. Jacob must have understood that his other sons hated Joseph. It wouldn't have been a secret for the level of hatred that they perpetrated against him. Jacob knew they did not like Joseph. He should have cautioned Joseph. He should have given Joseph counsel. Or did he and Joseph just did not listen? As a father, there is a role you have to play to protect your child from the wickedness of the pit of darkness. As a parent, to protect your children. And that is why Job stood out. He prayed for his children continually, not even wanting to know whether they have sinned or not. He just decided they might have sinned and cursed God. Let me ask God for mercy concerning them. Ask God for mercy concerning your children daily. Even when they are grown and gone, bring them before the Lord. And verse 6 says, and he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. I'm sure, being frivolous, being confident, he also loved his brother. Even though he does not love the wickedness they do, the evil things they do, they are his brothers, his elder brothers, far older than him. He wants to relate with them. He wants to be with them. He wants to associate with them. He wants to associate with them. But he does not understand. They do not like him. They do not love him. And they do not like the position he is in. The position that God has placed him, that they does not understand, and Joseph does not understand. And he came unto them. And verse 7 says, for behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Brethren, it is not everything you say. It is not everything you disclose. It is not everything you made known. It is only God that knows the heart of man. Unless God open your eyes to see man's conduct within, you will think they love you. You will think they are joyful. Oh, they rejoice with you. They hate you from within. They want to see you being distressed. They want to see you being destroyed. They want to see you being removed. They want to see you being eliminated. If even they can take you out, they'll be very happy. Keep your secrets, your desires or aspirations between you and God. Unless God asks you or lead you to discuss it with someone, let your mouth be shut and open it before the throne of grace. The Bible said they hated him the more. They hated him because he took their evil report. They hated him because his father loved him. They now hated him because he revealed to them what God has revealed to him, and they weren't prepared for it. They didn't like it, and they were not prepared for it. And if we go to verse 9, God still kept revealing unto Joseph what he's going to make Joseph become and how it will. In verse 9, and he dreamed yet another dream and told his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. I have dreamed another one. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves unto thee to the earth? Brethren, look at what that revelation produced. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. Brethren, it just went worse and worse and worse again. They hated him because he told their father their evil report. They hated him because his father loved him. They hated him when he revealed the first dream. And now they envied him at the second dream, because they now understood those dreams were not just a thought of a young, overconfident kid. Those dreams were from God. Those dreams were real. And now their hatred rose to the level of envy. Will he rule over us? Will this happen to us? And they envied him. And I can tell you from that moment on, they begin to look for a way to destroy him. They begin to look for a way to eliminate him. They begin to look for a way to get rid of him, so they can kill the dream, so they can destroy the dream, so they can eliminate the dream, so they can bring the dream to non-fruition. There are a lot of dream killers around you, and you don't know them. Only God knows the heart of man. Only God knows those who will help you from within, those who will help you to bring your vision and the mission of God's purpose in your life to pass. There are a lot of people that you will meet in life. There are a lot of people that you will come to meet. There are a lot of people that you will be attached to. There are a lot of people you will associate yourselves with, who are nothing but dream killers, who look for ways to bring you down, to keep you down, to shut you down, to come to the point where they make sure the purpose of God in your life is not fulfilled. But brethren, I can show you one thing. As long as God has spoken it, long as God has said it, it will happen. It doesn't matter at what point, it doesn't matter at what age, and it doesn't matter at what place. God will bring it to pass. God will make sure it come to pass. Because when we look into the life of Joseph next week, you will see that which God had promised was fulfilled, and it was fulfilled through the life of Joseph. That which God had declared to Abraham even before Isaac was born. As long as God speaks a word concerning you, the only person that can stop it is you. But as long as you keep walking and you keep your heart knitted to God, you will see Jacob, with all his conduct, he knew the God of his fathers. He knew the God of his fathers. He knows when to pray. And you will find that Joseph was such a man that his heart was tied to the fear of God, and God knows it.
And so God keep guarding him. When your heart is knitted to the kingdom of heaven, when God sees how much you revere and love him, your weakness is not what God focus on. Your mistakes and conduct is not what God focus on. God focus on his faithfulness and his promise. God focus on his faithfulness and his covenant. God focus on his faithfulness and the destiny of your life, and he will keep guarding you. You will have to go through the fire. You will have to go through the storms. You will have to go through nails, thorns, and thistles, but God is still going to be with you. God is still going to guide you. He is still going to hold you. He's still going to bind those wounds. He's still going to heal those pains. He's still going to heal those hurts. He's still going to open your blinded eyes. He's still going to open your deaf ears. He's still going to give you the strength to mount up as an eagle, to fly as an eagle, to soar as an eagle, until you get to God's ordained place and destiny for your life. As long as God has said it, it will come to pass. They hated him, they envied him, and they looked for a way to eliminate him. And yet, in the process, in the process of time through which they put him through, the dream that he dreamed came to pass. So what dreams have you had that situations and circumstances of life have forced you to abandon them, have forced you to relieve them, have forced you to do away with them? And yet within you, you still aspire to pursue that dream. Pursue it. Bring it before the throne of grace. No matter what the enemy say, he will not overcome you. He will torment you, but he will not overcome you. Because God will make sure that which he has spoken concerning your life come to pass. In the mighty name of Jesus, the Lord will help us. He will eliminate every dream killer from our lives. He will cause a separation between them and us. He will open our eyes to understand that the game and they are playing is not to establish God's will, but to kill the dream that God has put in our souls, in our hearts. The destiny of God concerning our lives shall never be eliminated, will never be aborted. In Jesus' mighty name, the Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, and the Lord cause his face to shine on you. Until we meet again on the prayer line, the Lord keep you. God bless you.